Hello and welcome to the next video of cardiovascular system. So today we are going to start with blood groups and blood transfusion. Okay. So, so first of all we have to know what is blood group or what are blood groups and what is blood transfusion. So from the word blood transfusion we understand that transfer of blood from one person to another or from one organism to another. As because we are studying here about human being, so we will understand that the transfusion from one organism to another is known as blood transfusion. Okay. Now, first of all, let's read it that the Austrian, okay, the Austrian biochemist whose name was Karl Landsteiner in 1900 was the first to suggest that the blood of different individuals vary. So this person, Karl Landsteiner, see, now if I shed my blood or you shed your blood, we won't be able to recognize that our blood groups are different because everyone's blood color is red. But this person in 1900, that is Karl Landsteiner, what he did, he suggested that there are different types of blood group that varies from individual to individual. Okay, now what he did, he talked about two proteins. Two proteins are present in blood, out of which one is agglutinogen and the other one is agglutinins. Now, what are agglutinogens? They are the antigens, okay? And what are agglutinins? They are the antibodies, okay? Now, because of presence of these two things in the blood group, we can differentiate different blood groups, okay? Now, the surface of RBC contains genetically determined antigens called agglutinogens, okay? Now, the RBC, the red blood cells, they contain antigens. Okay, now antigens are known as what? Agglutinogens. Their other name is agglutinogens. Okay, now these are the corpuscular factor. Okay, now the blood plasma of many people contain genetically determined antibodies called agglutinins, that is plasma factor. Now there are two factors present in the blood. The RBC will contain the corpuscular factor and the plasma will contain the plasma factor. See, plasma will contain the plasma factor and RBC, as it is known as red blood corpuscles, so this will contain corpuscular factor. Okay, so a question if comes from here that where do we find the corpuscular factor, so easily you will be saying that RBC, and where do we find the plasma factor, you'll be saying that the blood plasma. Okay, now in the RBC, this corpuscular factor is known as agglutinogens, which is also known as antigens. Okay, and in the plasma, this plasma factor is known as antibodies or agglutinins. Okay, now see the type of antigen. Now we are talking about the antigen, the agglutinogens. Okay, present in an individual forms the basis for classifying people under different blood group and gives rise to the ABO system having four blood groups. Generally, what do we see? That there are four type of blood groups. What are they? A, B, AB and O. What are they? A, B, AB and O. Okay. Now this falls under ABO system. Okay. And generally we find this. In most of the cases, we find this four type of blood group. Positive or negative, we are coming to that later on, but we find this group. Okay, in most of the cases, in more than 90% we find this. Okay, now let's move on to this this just box, what it says, that what is blood group and blood transfusion. Now as I said that transfusion is transferring of blood from one person to another is transfusion. And why do we transfer blood? Suppose there is a very huge injury in your body, or suppose while surgery you get a huge blood loss. That time you need to get blood from other person. Okay, so that time only transfer occurs, and that process is known as transfusion. What is blood group? A group of people having blood with similar antigen on its RBC are said to belong to the same blood group. Now, how do we recognize different blood groups? See, blood group is recognized by the same type of antigen. So, as we said, that corpuscular factor. So, this is if this factor is present in the RBC. Okay, this will be distinguishing the different types of ABO system. Okay, so that's why it is said over here that a group of people having the same type or similar type of antigen, okay, on its RBC will be having the same blood group. That is, a person, suppose you are having blood group A and your mom is also having, mother is also having blood group A, and your father too is having blood group A. That means all of you, all the three of you will be having similar type of antigen on the RBC of your blood. Okay, next we are moving on to this box where it says the rhesus factor. Now, this rhesus factor decides whether the blood group will be in positive or it will be in negative. Okay, now what is rhesus factor? It is the substance present in the red blood cell of most people. Such people are said to be rhesus positive. Okay, now see, we saw that antigens present to the RBC will be showing us that what type of blood group they have. Okay, next here when we are talking about rhesus factor decides that this is also present on the red blood cell itself. Okay, so that means what? The main thing by which you can recognize your blood group is the red blood cell. The positioning of the antigen, not the positioning, the presence of which type of antigen and the presence of which type of rhesus factor is present on the red blood cell will decide the blood group. Okay, now see, if a person is rhesus positive, okay, then what will happen? People with RH positive blood group have antigen D. That means what? See, we had one antigen already which decided whether you'll have A, B, AB or O blood group. Okay, that was one antigen. Another antigen which is antigen D. This one, antigen D. This will be deciding that whether you are RH positive or not. That is, those who are having antigen D will be RH positive. Where will be the presence of antigen D? On the surface of RBC. Okay, now people who do not have this antigen in their blood are said to be rhesus negative. Now see, those who will not have this antigen D will be having RH negative, means they do not have any antigen D. So that's why what? They do not have any positiveness towards rhesus factor. So they are rhesus negative and hence their blood group will be negative. Okay, now see, RH negative people do not have an antibody in their plasma against the RH factor but can be given an antibody by blood transfusion. So see, those who are having negative blood group, they do not have any antigen D, but with the help of blood transfusion, you can pass on the antigen D to them. Okay, before going to the next topic, let's see the chart what it says. See over here, first of all we'll look after blood group A. Now in this you see there is presence of antigen. Okay, what antigen? This is antigen A. Okay, got it. So here we are having what? Antibodies. See, suppose, now let me tell you something. Antigen is a type of protein. Now if there is a presence of antigen in your body, there will be formation of antibodies also in your body. Okay, if there is presence of antigen in your body, there will be formation of antibodies in your body. Got it? There is antigen, there will be formation of antibodies. Now what happens, that there will be formation of antibodies. Now he is having antigen A. Okay, so there will be presence of antibody. What antibody? Antibody B. That is, if someone having antigen A, B. First of all, let's treat this, then we will understand. Like suppose, see, here this is having antigen A. So the structure is like this. This one is having different type of antigen, which is antigen B. This is having both the antigens. See, both. Here you are having antigen A, here you are having antigen B. So that's why this is called AB. But in O, you see, you don't find any kind of antigen. Okay, you don't find any kind of antigen that is having A or B. Understood? Now what happens over here? What is this? Here, because there is presence of antigen A, so there will be presence of when there will be presence of antigen, there will be production of antibodies also. But antibodies will be producing against what? Antigen B. Okay, so it will become anti-B. Anti-B. Anti means what? That I do not have friendship with B. Okay, so this person, if suppose a person is having A blood group and will be transfused or transferred with B blood group, then what will happen? This antibody B, which is anti against B, okay, will not allow to resist this anti B in this body. So that's why what will happen? The transfusion will be failed process and the person will suffer fatal condition. Got it? Next, what is there? Antigen and red blood cell. Now, as I told you, look, this is blood group A, which is having antigen A. That's why there is a presence of antibody, which is anti-B. Got it? Now, compatible groups. That is, if a person is having blood group A, can transfer its blood to this person who is having A blood group, and the person who is having O also can do the transfusion with this person. So that's why here it is said that compatible groups. Compatible means that while transfusion, which will not cause any kind of problem, will be this to blood. Next, we are moving on to blood group B. See the structure, we can see that is, it is having antigen B. See, it is having antigen B. So in response to this, there will be production of antigen A. Okay, here was in response to this antigen B produced, here anti-A. So what will happen? That if any person who is having blood group A, if is transferring its blood to this particular B, then what will happen? The person will again suffer, this person who is having B will again suffer fatal condition. Okay, and can lead to death also. So that is, it is having antigen B and antibodies against A. And the compatible groups, because it is B, so B can transfer its blood to B. And O, that means what? O is not having any antigen. You see, O is not having any antigen, which is A or B. That's why it is compatible with all the blood groups. Okay, next we are moving on to AB. Now this is having both, okay, A and B. That's why no antibody is formed against A or B. That's why no antibodies, none. Okay, now what happens? There is antigen in A and B. So AB, O. That is 4 type of blood. This AB is universal recipient. Okay, it can receive blood from any blood group, that is AB, A or B or O. Got it? Because there is no presence of antibodies. So if there is no presence of antibodies, no one is gonna destroy this particular blood or protect against this particular blood. Okay, so everyone can transfer its blood. But here, because there is no presence of antigen A or antigen B, that's why what happens, for both the cases, antibodies are produced, antibody A and antibody B. So except O, no one can give this blood group blood except O. So only O can give blood to O, and both are compatible. Only O is compatible with O. Got it? Any other blood groups are not compatible with this O blood group. Got it? Okay. Next we are moving on to next. Okay. Next is what? See, next is the antibodies in the blood plasma of an individual do not attack the antigen in the erythrocyte of the same individual. Okay. Now see, this is a very simple thing, that because Suppose, as we know that if there is presence of antigen A, there will be presence of antibody B. There won't be presence of antibody A. So that's why it's a genuine thing that the antibodies which will be present in your blood plasma will not attack your own antigen. If any foreign antigen is coming inside your body and it is not able to recognize the similar antigen, that time only this antibodies will be attacking the body or the erythrocytes of the individual. Okay, so this is a very genuine and a very easy factor to understand. Next, the person who gives the blood, he's the donor. The person who's giving the blood, he's donor, and the person who's receiving the blood will be the recipient. Okay, next, what is there? Next, see, during a blood transfusion, it is important that during a blood transfusion, it is important that the blood groups of the donor and the recipient are compatible. Okay, so what happens during blood transfusion? What happens? That the donor and the recipient should be compatible. As I said earlier, as we have seen earlier, that there should be compatibility. Okay, like suppose if there is antigen B present in your body, you're having B blood group, then if you transfer blood group A, then it is already having antibodies A. Okay, so it will do what? It will just destroy the blood, it will destroy the erythrocytes of your body. Okay, so what happens in that case? It will fight against that and it will be very fatal for your body. So there should be compatibility. In an incompatible blood transfusion, the antigen of the donated blood, so that only I was saying that if there is incompatibility in the blood transfusion, somehow incompatibility arises, then what will happen? That the antigen of the donated blood, okay, they will attack the antibody of the recipient blood plasma. Got it? So what will happen? The donated blood, over there is presence of antigen. Now this antigen will be doing what? This antigens will be attacked by what? The antibodies which are already present in the recipient blood plasma, causing, now as they will be attacking, it will cause the blood cells to clump together. Okay, they'll clot, kind of clotting will be occurring inside the body. So obviously the blood flow will be obstructed and hence the person will die. At the time of blood transfusion, the RH factor will be also a certain for the compatibility. So not only the blood group you'll have to consider, but the RH factor also you'll have to take into consideration for the blood transfusion process. That is, blood of group AB does not contain any antibodies, as we know. So therefore, there is no reaction if the blood of any other group, that is AB or O, is transfused in the body of a person belonging to group AB. Group AB positive is referred to as universal. Already I have stated that why AB is referred to as universal recipient, because there is no antibody against any blood group. So everyone can do blood transfusion to this particular group, that is AB. Okay, but O is having both the antibodies. Okay, because it is not having any antigen. So what happens? Therefore, the blood group can be safely given to the people belonging to other blood groups. See, here we are talking about the antigens which decides the blood group, not the rhesus factor antigen. Okay, we are coming to that in next topic. Okay, first let's see this picture, what this picture is telling us. See, here is type A blood of the donor. So a donor is there who is having type A blood, and here plasma of type B blood group of the recipient. Now recipient is having blood group B, okay, and the donor is having A. What you do, you do transfusion, you donate, you are having A, you are donating blood to blood group B. Now what happens? See, there is antibody A present. You can see this all antibodies here, here. These are the antibodies. Okay. Now see. Now what happens? Antibodies present in the plasma of recipient. Recipient is having antibody, will attack the RBC. Now it will think it is a foreign particle. I have never seen such type of thing in my whole life. Okay. I have continuously seen through my whole life only B. So how come this particular A is coming to me? He'll think like that. Okay, so what will happen, that antibodies present in plasma of recipient will attack RBCs, okay, with surface antigen A that are not the same as the individual blood type. Got it? Now what will happen? This causes clumping. They'll clump together, they'll join, they'll stick together, and that there will be destruction of the red blood cell. Okay. So what is there? That agglutination is the clumping. Now what is agglutination? It is the clumping or coagulation. Like blood clots, it will clot inside the body. Okay. And that is known as clumping or coagulation, and the factor is known as agglutination. Okay. Agglutination is the clumping or coagulation of particles that occurs if an antigen is mixed with its corresponding antibody. Alright, when any antigen is mixed with its corresponding, like antigen A is having antibody which is corresponding to it is B, antigen B is having corresponding antibody which is A. So like that if happens, then there will be clumping of blood and coagulation or agglutination will occur. Got it? Next, we are moving on to the RH factor. See, blood group O negative is universal donor, but blood group A positive is universal recipient. Keep this thing in mind. Okay, if we talk about AB negative, okay, then it won't be universal recipient. Why? Because it can only receive blood from the positives. Okay, it can only receive blood from the negatives, not from the positives. So in that case, it can receive from all the blood groups, okay, but not the races, from all the rhesus factor. And here it can O negative can give blood to all the rhesus factor, all the blood groups. Got it? So this is a minor difference which you'll have to keep in mind. Next, we are moving on to RH factor and pregnancy. Got it? Now what happens? Now this is very interesting thing. Now see the RH antigen antibody response. Okay, here in pregnancy we can see the antigen antibody response very clearly. This is a very common problem arising in pregnancy. Now what happens? Suppose there's a mother who is having RH negative blood group. Okay, you can see here the picture very nicely. See, so if you see the picture in biology, you will get most of the things inserted in your brain. Okay, so this is a mother who is having RH negative blood group. Got it? Now suppose the father was father means the husband of this lady had RH positive blood group, and the baby which is born for the first time is also having RH positive. Okay, now what will happen? This RH positive blood containing baby will be, somehow from this baby, this blood group will be entering the body of the female, that is the mother. Okay, that is the mother. So what will happen? That is, I want to say that suppose this woman is having a negative blood means rhesus factor, and the baby which is in the womb is having RH positive factor. Okay, so what happens through the placenta, because the placenta is the connection between the mother and the baby. So through the placenta, what will happen? This RH positive will enter inside the maternal blood. As soon as the body will recognize a foreign particle, see, for this female, for this lady, RH positive, she has never seen this RH positive in her throughout her life. Okay, so what happens? The body recognizes this RH positive as antigen which is foreign to its body. Okay, means it's a foreign thing which is coming to its body. Now what will happen? This body of the female will be producing RH positive antibodies, because it recognizes for the first time the RH positive factor. So antibodies are produced from the female's body. okay, which will remain in the blood. Okay, so what will happen during the first pregnancy, the complications won't arise. The child will give the female will give birth to the child, and the birth will be successful and the child will be healthy somehow. Okay, in this case I'm talking about, in this case. But when this female will become pregnant again, okay, and the baby will be again, suppose, will be of positive blood group, then the consequences will be arising, which will be fatal for the baby. What will happen? Already in the blood group there is presence of antibody B. Got it? So when the what will happen, that again when the antibodies will cross the placenta, and see, from here it will cross to the mother, and again the mother's blood will be crossing to this, and there will be presence of antibody positive. Okay, then what will happen, the baby will develop anemia, okay, which will slowly destroy the RBC of this baby. Got it? Got my point? In the first pregnancy, what will happen, there will be no such complication, okay, because the body couldn't recognize from the beginning. When the first baby is in the womb, it passes its blood type, which is positive type, to its mother, and the mother's body recognizes it as a foreign particle and creates antibodies, okay, for the first time. It's just like, when we say that if a person suffers from smallpox once, then, or chicken pox once, then he'll not have it again in his life. Why? Because the antibody is already present in your blood, and it will already fight against that virus coming inside your body. So similar things happening over here. In the first pregnancy nothing happens, but in the second pregnancy already the body is having antibody positive. So what the body does of this women, it will be passing through the placenta to the baby, okay, the antibody positive, and the baby's erythrocytes, the RBCs, will be destroyed slowly, causing the baby, leading it to anemia. Okay, so this condition is known as erythroblastophetalis. What is this condition known as? Erythroblastosis fetalis. Okay, because here what happens, the fetus, in the fetus, the erythrocytes are destroyed. Okay, now this will cause what? Brain damage, and will result in death. In obviously, if all the blood cells, RBCs, die, okay, then what will happen? Obviously the blood will not reach its brain, and the brain will get damaged, and slowly the body will also get damaged, and the baby will die. So there is a remedy. Okay, nowadays injections are available, and here in a book it is written that remedy lies in replacing the infant's blood soon after birth. It can be done by blood transfusion. Soon after the baby is born, the blood is withdrawn from the baby's blood, and a new blood is given to the baby. But this causes some time, risk factor for the baby. That's why what happens, injections are available. In this case, nowadays injections are available within 72 hours. If you inject the lady with that injection, then what happens, these complications don't arise. Okay, next we are moving on to the human heart. So let's start with the human heart today a little bit. Now see, we know that heart is the pumping machine which pumps blood throughout our body. Okay, the most important feature of the blood is its incessant movement. The main effector of the blood flow is the heart. Now, why it is said incessant means it doesn't ceases. Okay, ceases means what? It does not stop. It throughout your life continuously, that this heart keeps on beating, keeps on pumping its blood. Okay, due to which the blood flow is continuously flowing throughout your body. Got it? Now how is this heart? What is the structure of this heart? This heart is hollow from inside. You can see this picture. See, it's hollow. Okay, it's hollow from inside. Why? Because blood is flowing from this area. So it's a hollow muscular organ which is about the size of owner's fist. That is my fist, this much. See, suppose my fist is this much, so the shape, the size of my heart will be this much. Okay, that means the bigger is your fist, the bigger will be your the bigger is your fist, the bigger will be your heart. The smaller is your fist, the smaller will be your heart. This means that the heart will be bigger. Why? So that it can pump more blood. Okay, the circulation will be more. The more bigger person will have bigger size of heart, so that the more blood is pumped throughout the body. Okay, so that's why it is equal to the owner's fist. And it is looking like what you see here is a little bit sharpened area like this. So that's why it is written that it is like a blunt cone. Okay, it's not very sharp, but it's little bit pointed towards this end. That's why it is known as blunt cone. Okay, it is located centrally between lungs with nearly 2/3 of its mass towards the left of the midline. Where it is located, see, it is located centrally. We say that the heart is on the left side, but it is not the case. It is centrally placed, but little bit tilted towards the left side. Okay, that's why we can see or we can feel that the heart is in the left side. So it is located centrally between the lungs with the nearly two-third of its mass. See, it is like this. Okay, it is like this. So that means what, it is tilted like this. 2/3 of its part is tilted towards the left of the midline. Okay, next is the heart is enclosed and held in position by a pericardium. Now see, this heart cannot just like this only, float in the inside your body, isn't it? So it has to be attached with something. So what is the thing which is holding this particular heart in that particular position in your body? So it is enclosed and held in position by what? Pericardium. What is pericardium? It is connective tissue membrane consisting of two layers. Now this outer layer is the pericardium. Okay. Now there is pericardium, which is a connective tissue membrane. Now this pericardium consists of two layers. Now between this two layers there is presence of pericardial fluid. Okay, so the layers are known as pericardial layer, and between the two layers there is presence of fluid. Why there is presence of fluid? So that friction doesn't causes the pericardium to get damaged or the heart to get damaged. So there is presence of fluid so that it can prevent too much of friction against the, suppose this is one layer of pericardium and this is one layer of pericardium, and there in this middle portion there is a fluid. So if there is not now if suppose there is a movement like this, okay, so what will happen? Here also no harm occurs, here also no harm occurs. But suppose the two layers would have been like this, so if there would be gliding, then this two layers would have worn out. Okay, there would have been tear and worn out places over here. So that's why there is presence of fluid between any two layers of your body. Got it? So here there is a pericardium. There are pericardial layers, so there is presence of pericardial fluid. Got it? Next, the wall of the heart is divided into three layers. What are these three layers? The outer layer is known as epicardium. The middle layer obviously will be known as myocardium, and the outer layer will be known as the inner layer will be known as the endocardium. Three layers are there: outer layer epicardium, middle layer myocardium, inner layer endocardium. Got it? Okay. So till this till today only this much. Okay, in next video we'll come up with the next part of the heart. Thanks for today.